They did it again.
They did?
Yeah, they found the Blazor puzzle.
Who did?
Both of them.
Not you. You.
Yeah, you.
Hey.
Welcome back to the Blazor Puzzle, number 45. I'm Carl Franklin from AppVNext, and that's my friend Jeff Fritz from Microsoft. Hey, Jeff.
How do? Good to see you this week.
Yeah, good to see you. Onward and upward. Been a busy week for both of us, I know.
Yeah, lots happening.
Lots happening, but nothing as cool as the Blazor Puzzle. I look forward to it every week. So let's jump into last week's puzzle, shall we?
Let's.
Okay, so this is a .NET 8 global server-side Blazor web app using individual accounts for ASP.NET Core Identity Auth, as you can see, right?
Yep.
We have login and register and all that stuff. So we've created this config page. In the real world, this would be something that you might want to, I don't know, control access to, right? And you typically do that with role-based authorization or claims or something like that.
Yeah, it might be like branding for the website or something.
Yeah, something. So we've created an AppState component, and if you've been watching Blazor Train or Blazor Puzzle episodes about AppState, we've gone through this a million times. It's a cascading parameter. It's accessible as that. And it has a can access config page variable that we set to true in main layout razor on after render async in the first render. We just set it to true, but in the real world, this would come from a database or something, right, Jeff?
Some storage location with that stateful information about who's logged in.
Right. And now in the nav menu, we only show this config icon here if that value is true.
Why is it showing up here, Carl? This is the homepage. You're not logged in.
Oh, well, it shows up here because we set it to true on after render, but it's not based on anything. We forced it to true just so that we could, have some state here.
Now that makes sense. All right.
Yeah. But if we navigate to the account page when we're logged in, which is your email address, the nav link does not show up in the nav menu. So check this out. If I go to login,
yeah.
Well, if I go to login, it's gone too, because this is an account page. But let me just go ahead and log in.
And while you're logging in, those account pages, those are server-side render pages. They're not interactive, where it's going to get information and interact across the entire stack of objects. Exactly.
And so therein lies the problem, right? We have this AppState, which is interactive. It's stateful, right? And then anytime we go to any of those account pages, all that state just goes away.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole idea is, how do we persist it so that if I go to an account page like this, I want to be able to see all the things that I can do over here on the nav menu, or anything for that matter that's based on that state.
Right. That stateful information that you want to manage between the different types of connections.
Yes. So how do we do that? Well, I'll show you. The solution is to persist the AppState data on the server whenever it's mutated, and then load it on demand, or you could load it on the first render. You could do both.
Okay.
Now, it has to be saved on the server because of those account pages. They don't have interactivity. So there's no JavaScript or any client-side code at all, right?
Yeah.
Yep. So whether we save it in a database, a local JSON file, or some other server-side cache, doesn't really matter. We could use claims if we wanted to in this case. But for our solution, we're going to save the serialized app state to local JSON files based on the user's email address.
Okay.
So the first thing we need to do is create an interface that has all of the properties of our app state that we want to load and save.
All right.
Okay, so this is just can access config page. And we also need an implementation of that interface, because if we're going to deserialize it, we have to deserialize it to something, and something other than the app state itself. You can't deserialize something to yourself. And you can't deserialize something to an interface. So there you go. Now we're going to modify the cascading app state itself. We're going to implement iAppState. And we've got our authentication state task. We need this because we're going to use the email address of the logged in user to actually create the name of the file that we're going to save. And what we've done here is we're just calling our save method right in the setter for can access config page. So anytime that changes, boom, we're going to save it again.
Yep.
And in on after render async, if it's the first render, we're going to load.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So both of these load and save use this get file name method. So get file name returns a file based on the user's email address. So they have to be logged in. We have to have their email. And then we replace the periods and @ signs with underscores. So it's more like a slug, right? And we're going to create the folder. If it doesn't exist under data, we'll create a temp app state folder. So it's going to go right in here somewhere. And then we'll return the key.json, and the key is that slug. All right, so pretty simple. Now, let's start with save. So we get the file name, and if it's not, an empty string, we're going to serialize this, which is our cascading app state, into an iAppState, right? So we've got an object that represents that interface, and then we serialize that into JSON, and then we write that to the file. Pretty simple.
Pretty garden variety, reading and writing from file on disk,
Yeah.
but serializing that shape.
Yep. So when we load, we're going to read the data in the file and deserialize it to an app state. And if that's not null, then we're going to use some reflection to just loop through all the properties and set them. Now, I could have hard-coded, set this property, set that property, but this will set you up in the future, if you're going to use something like this, to get all of the properties and load them and set the values on our object, which is, our instance.
Yep, this is kind of an auto mapper type of solution that you have
got
there.
it. Absolutely. So the next thing we need to do is, if it wasn't already on your mind, you might have thought, well, that's fine, but how do we get app state over in the account page? Well, we don't want to put it in every page, right? So
No.
over in account shared, we have a layout, account layout. And this is just a layout like main layout, but it's used on the server side pages. So what I've done is I've just added app state as a cascading parameter there. Now that is going to be just default values, right? That's not actually going to give you anything. It's not going to give you the data that came from the main page. So that's why we got to do load right here. And on parameter set async seems like a good place to do it.
Absolutely.
So let's see if this works, shall we? Okay, here we are. So now I'll log in. And I am not logged in yet, so I don't have an email address.
Config's not there.
So, and the config's not there. So go ahead and log in. There it is. Now if I go to an account page, boom.
It persists. Yes.
It persists. And take a look over here in the data folder. We have a temp app state folder, and there's my JSON file right there. So,
nothing to it.
Yeah, nothing to it. Now, of course, the JSON files are going to pile up, and, this isn't a great solution for going forward, but it's not about the JSON files, is it?
No, it's more about persisting that data somewhere that your server-side rendered pages can load it from.
Right.
You made some great points earlier. It could be a Redis cache, a SQL server. You could be pulling it out of Entra directly. But the trick is your state, persisting it somewhere that both interactive server and the server-side rendered content can get to.
You got it. All right, so we have a winner. And shall we announce it? Drum roll, please. The winner is William P. Edmondson from Troy, Michigan.
Yeah, congratulations, William.
And for being the correct answer that we drew at random. This week, William is going to win one of these. A Blazor Puzzle mug.
Nice.
Isn't it beautiful?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And we're going to offer a second prize.
Okay.
The second prize is definitely going to be one of the following.
I'm intrigued. Yeah.
A 1959 Sunburst Gibson Les Paul Standard. That's an electric guitar.
Yeah.
In mint condition with a flight case.
Oh, man.
That's worth like $300,000.
Yeah. That's quite the unique piece of kit you got there.
Yeah. Or it could be a CLX RA gaming desktop with an Intel Core i9 14900K processor, 96 gigs of DDR5 5600 memory, a GeForce, or I guess GeForce is how they say it, a GeForce RTX 4090 video card, 2 terabyte M2 SSD system drive, and a 10 terabyte data drive.
Want.
Yeah.
Want.
Or William could win one of these. A Blazor Puzzle t-shirt. Yep.
Well, it's clear.
I know
what the winner is here.
Yeah, I know which one I want.
Yeah.
All right. Well, congratulations, William. And we expect a selfie of you holding your mug, wearing your t-shirt.
Fantastic.
Now, let's get to next week's puzzle.
Here we go.
Okay. So this is, again, a .NET 8 Blazor web app with global server interactivity. And we've defined a cascading AppState component, just as we did before. We made it available to all the components. And we've also defined a scoped service called storage service and injected it in here. Now, we added it as a scoped service in program right there. Okay. So now, in effect, we have two scoped services, don't we? We have the cascading AppState, which when you have a cascading parameter and you access that, that is essentially a scoped service.
Sure. Yeah.
And we also have storage service. So how can we access cascading AppState inside the storage service? Now, take a look at this. Yeah. Now, so the requirement is we need to access AppState in this service. This service needs the data from our state. You think you could do something like this, right?
Yeah, of course.
Right? And then instead of returning the message, we'd
pull it out of AppState.
Pull it out of AppState. It compiles and everything, right? But let's actually see what happens. Well, what I didn't tell you is in the home page, we have a message. We have our AppState. On initialize, we set the AppState message. And then I have a button to get it, and I want to pull it out of storage service. So what I'm hoping is, okay, I can return the AppState message. Okay. And if all this works, it'll prove the concept at least. Well, it'll prove that we can do what we can. But in fact, it doesn't work. Here's what happens.
It compiles.
It does compile, and it runs, and it gets so far as here. Wah, wah. Some services are not able to be constructed. Yeah.
But this is the kind of thing that I want to do when I've put things in like my shopping cart and my shopping cart's in AppState and I want to pass it into the storage service because I want to say, okay, save off the contents of my cart so that it places the order. And
exactly. Yeah. So that's it. How do we do this? How do we make this work? I want to access that data from inside the service. Now, if you think you know the answer, don't post it on social media, of course, right?
No, don't do that.
But instead, send it to Jeff and me at this address, blazorpuzzle@appvnext.com, with the subject puzzle number 46. And you too
46
could win fabulous prizes.
Yes.
of unspeakable value.
And then we will tweet your photo out.
Absolutely. So get to work, guys and gals, and all yous out there. And we'll see you next week.
Take care, friends.
Thanks for watching. Make sure to check out blazortrain.com and the .NETshow.com for more great content.